Often when we're working with students who are maybe feeling a little bit discouraged because they have compared themselves to maybe someone else, we will tell them, okay, stop, go back, look at your first post and compare it to this post. And then let's go from here, because that is the kind of comparison that's healthy and beneficial. You're self-evaluating where you really are. It is so beneficial to be realistic about where we have come from and how much work we've put into it. And the end result is in the middle, you get to look and see how much you've grown already.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Pretty Focus Podcast. This one's exciting. This is the first episode of 2026.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everybody. I hope you had a fantastic Christmas and New Year and holiday season. We're recording this before the holiday season, which is always kind of fun. But what we really want to focus on in this episode is really reflecting back over 2025 and looking ahead to 2026. And I think that we always say this at the end of every year, at the beginning of a new year, is like, I cannot believe it's 2026. I cannot believe it's January 2026 already. Holy cow. So, Lauren, how is your 2025?
2025 was a heck of a year. It was full of a lot of challenges. And I don't think I'm the only one who experienced that.
Yep.
So I am thankful that we are wrapping up 2025, and I'm really excited about all that 2026 could hold.
Yeah. There's something just like new and hopeful about, something hopeful about something new. You know, a new year, a new month. And so I always feel a little hopeful at the beginning of the year. So I don't know if anybody else feels that way, but it's just like you have it's like the same opportunities, but like it just feels new for some reason, you know, and just like I just get to start over. I get to start over with my goals. I get to start over and reevaluate things. And so even though you can do that at any point during the year, but it's just like January just kind of has this slower start where you can really focus and evaluate on where you want the year to go. But before we talk about where we want the year to go, let's talk about 2025 though.
Yeah.
And we kind of just want to walk you through things that you should be doing as a human being, but especially as a business owner. Like as you go back and you reflect over the past year and you're looking ahead, you can use these reflection points to actually help you plan ahead for the year ahead. And so the first one that I want to talk about right, guys probably are going to be so surprised by this, and that's the wins. I always want to focus on the wins. You want to focus on the positive and all of the good things that happened. And so never downplay wins. Don't ever do that. And I want to encourage you guys to celebrate whatever that might look like. So whether it is you joined Pretty Focused and you posted your first practice session.
That's a big win.
That is huge. You graduated, or maybe you graduated and you landed your first paid client. For some it might be simple as like you got off of auto or you learned photography. Like Lauren, we have people who are joining who have always joined photography, Pretty Focus, and have never picked up a camera before. So if that's you, that is something big to celebrate.
Yeah, for sure. And it's not like always doing the giant thing, like completing the thing. Sometimes it's just taking that first step to do the thing, not the whole thing, just the beginning of the thing. And that's a huge win, because that's where momentum starts, and you can build on that. And then in the end, maybe it's another 6 months from now, then the big thing starts to take shape, and then you can really, really celebrate big. But after that big thing, there's going to be another little thing to start. So it's a cool thing.
It is. Small wins build the big wins. So I think that's really important to remember. And I got to let you guys in on just a little, it's probably not a secret, but something I struggle with is I generally lean towards pessimism, which might surprise some of you because I'm always talking about sharing wins and I'm always talking about being positive. And that is so much for me is that's for me just as much as it is for the people I'm talking to, because I tend to just see the negative,
Yeah.
and that can get very overwhelming. And it can cause some anxiety and anxiousness. And so if you're in that boat, I just want to say that to maybe bring some awareness to it. And the best way to help overcome that is by making the list of all of the wins that happened and all of the things that you did accomplish, because there's probably way more things that you accomplished,
Mhm.
right, than not. So just got to share that, just like a little preview into my brain, is that it is actually really challenging sometimes for me to just focus on the positive. And the other thing I think that piggybacks on that, Lauren, is we talk about comparison a lot.
Mhm.
Don't compare yourself to other people. Don't compare their chapter 20 to your chapter 1.
Yeah.
And that is so valid and always will be. But the best type of comparison that you can make is comparing where you are now to where you were,
Mhm.
right?
Oh, yeah. It's self-evaluation,
Yeah.
which always illuminates the wins, right? So, like, often when we're working with students who are maybe feeling a little bit discouraged because they have compared themselves to maybe someone else,
Hmm.
we will tell them, okay, stop, go back, look at your first post and
Yeah.
compare it to this post. And then let's go from here, because that is the kind of comparison that's healthy and beneficial. You're self evaluating where you really are. And oftentimes we are our own worst critics when it comes to this type of creative work. And we're putting ourselves out there, whether it's with clients or we're doing it inside of the coaching community. That is really nerve wracking for a lot of people. I know I felt that way.
Yep.
Anytime I send anything to a client, I just kind of hold my breath. But it is so beneficial to be realistic about where we have come from and how much work we've put into it. And the end result is in the middle, you get to look and see how much you've grown already.
Yep.
So don't worry about comparing yourself to somebody else. Compare yourself to the history of you and start getting really excited about what's coming up in the future with all of the hard work that you're putting into what you're doing.
Yeah, I think that's so great. All right. Now, the next thing that you can look over and review and analyze over the past year are your systems and habits that worked and maybe didn't work. So this is Lauren and I were just talking that this is like hard to be really specific, because we really do have people listening who are at different phases of their business, right? We have people who are
Mhm.
going through the course. We have grads who are working. We've got food bloggers who have their own business, right? We've got people who haven't joined yet. So we have a wide range
Mhm.
of people listening. And so, but whenever it comes to systems and habits, you have to look at what your systems and habits are. They might be different for everybody, but what is working, what isn't working, right? And then from those that are not working, what do you need to change? And you're like, Melody, genius. Genius. I know that. I know things need to change. How do I change these habits? And so the best way to do that and approach that is through community, right?
Mhm.
Lauren, why don't you share some of your experiences with that?
Yeah. So I came into the course with 0 camera experience. I also came into the course as a stay-at-home mom. And so I had one part of my brain fully working, but I had never really ignited like the business side of my head. And so I had to come in and I had to learn the technical side of photography. I had to learn recipe execution and styling beyond just throwing the food on the plate to feed the zoo.
Mhm.
I needed to make it look beautiful. But then I also really needed to get realistic about my time management, the systems that I had in place, and then making room to have this kind of creative outlet that turned into a financial income too. So it was a very important thing to make room for. But I could not have figured that out as quickly as I did if it hadn't been for our community within Pretty Focus, because I was able to tap into other people who are right where I was, the expertise of people who had gone before, like Melody. And I was able to kind of like try on different things to see what worked and what didn't for me, because it's going to be different for everyone. But being able to like test different things, it's like, okay, guys, this is the problem I'm running into. How would you deal with this? And then getting feedback from all different kinds of mindsets, people that are very analytical and very strategic and very, and then like the other people that like do everything with just their heart. And to be able to like mesh together my own version of that, because I had this group of people to talk to that knew exactly what I was dealing with. That was an absolute game changer for me. And I really think accelerated my ability to go from a stay-at-home mom, never having picked up a camera or run a business, to within a matter of months being shocked at what was mine that I built. Could not have done that by myself.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I think, we the habits that worked well, systems that worked well, great. Check. Keep doing it. What's not working well? Well, let's evaluate what those are. Identify the thing that's holding you back.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just simple, like I will not move forward if there's like a problem that I can't solve. And oftentimes it's the dumbest thing. And I like
often you only have to say it out loud.
Yes.
Like just saying it out loud sometimes is all that it takes for things to start clicking into place. Yeah. And then you'll be shocked as to why you waited so long to try to solve the problem.
Yeah. Yep. It's true. And so being able to take those to your community, and I love that you hit on that. Inside of our community, we really do have a wide range of mindsets where we have analytical people, we have people who are more free spirited, and so you do get a wider range of, I think, feedback. And whenever you are working at home, right, you can get siloed and think that like this is the only way to do things, and you don't even know what's possible without community and people around. So I think that's really important whenever you are evaluating your systems and habits. Like, what worked well? Awesome. Keep doing it. What didn't work well? Well, why didn't it work well? Is it what is holding you back? Is it time? Is it like, for Lauren, like you said, you were learning a technical aspect. And so sometimes it is just as simple as asking the question or looking it up. Man, I'm telling you, the dumbest things that I have let hold me back. And it's because that I just didn't have an answer to one. I didn't know how to solve the problem, and I just kept it all internal. And it once I voiced it and had somebody help me solve the problem, I was able to move forward. Seems so elementary.
It's hard though, because you really do, you kind of have to put yourself out there. And when you don't know the answer to something, there is part of you that feels like, oh, I'm failing because I can't just solve this problem. Who told you that you were supposed to have all the answers? We cannot know everything. We're better together. So this is where community, and this is one of my favorite things about Pretty Focused from my beginning experience. So I graduated in 2018. I have been around for a lot of Pretty Focused. And from the very beginning, the support and the sharing of really brilliant information, I am so grateful for that, because it shaped how I think about competition. It shapes how I think about serving my clients. It just shapes every ounce of everything that I do, even on a personal level. I think it has just made me better to be surrounded with so many incredible, smart, generous people. And it's kind of contagious.
Yeah.
So it's just my favorite.
Yes.
I really love that. So it's a good environment to be learning in
Yeah.
and making mistakes in, because that is a lot of what learning is, to be surrounded with people that are just, they're not going to let you sit in the mud. They're going to make sure that you try again. You get up and you
Yes.
try it again.
Yeah. That's what I want our community to be, is not just leave you there. We don't
Yeah.
want to just leave you there. We want to help bring you along. And so, whenever I get people emailing me, they're like, "Man, Melody, Pretty Focus is just such a positive and encouraging community. Thank you so much." And they like encourage me, and I'm like, "Well, yeah, because it's filled with people like you."
Yeah, it really is.
That's why. That's why it's so wonderful, is because you're in it. All right. So, two of the big things we talked about whenever you are going back over the last year is reflecting on your wins, and then reflecting on your systems, and then really reaching out to your community, and finding a way to solve those. But I want to look forward to like 2026
Mhm.
and beyond. And so, the very first thing I want to talk about is, if you are not tracking analytics in your business, whether you have graduated or not, I think you need to start tracking some analytics. And those of you who are like, "Well, I haven't sold anything yet. What am I supposed to track?" And Lauren, you brought up before, we hit record, she brought up something just I didn't even think of. And that is like the very first analytic you should be tracking is time.
Mhm.
The time it takes you to shoot.
Mhm.
And so, Lauren, why don't you talk about that? Because again, when you started, you had littles.
Yeah, I had toddlers underfoot who loved to dump out the sprinkle containers. That was not that was just not a very efficient season of time. But, like, my first calling is to them and giving them great memories of being a child, and so, in order to serve my clients well and feel like I was being excellent at what I was devoting my time to, it also meant that I had to be able to juggle not just the spilled sprinkles and, teaching little ones how to clean up after themselves with a smile on my face, but also then being able to turn around and flow out creative energy and into these works of art that I wanted to deliver to clients so their business could thrive.
Yep.
So there was a lot riding on how I managed my time and my mindset around time. So what I told Melody right before we started recording was this memory I have of reaching out to Kim in the very beginning and being like, "Hi, how am I going to do this? Like, this is just so much. Everything takes longer than I think it should. How am I going to do this?" And she gave me the best bit of advice. And she was just like, "Time yourself. How long does that really take you?" And I was like, "I don't know. Like, it takes me 75 minutes to empty the dishwasher. That's what it feels like." And she's like, "But how long does it actually take you?" I set the timer, and guess what? It was like 5 to 8 minutes. 5 to 8 minutes is nothing. I can do that very quickly. Well, how long does it take to prep your ingredients? Well, if I'm not distracted, I can get in and out and be done in 15 minutes. It does not have to take very long. And when you know what that number is, I don't have to set aside an hour to do this. If I just get in and get it done, I can be done in 15 minutes and ready to move on to the next thing.
Yep.
When I was living in that, well, it feels like it takes this long, I was overwhelmed. The reality is that when I actually timed it, it was a very manageable amount of time to take care of that piece that moved me forward towards going from start to finish.
Yep.
And if I had not done that exercise, I think it would have continued to take me longer than it should, because I was allowing distractions to come in. I was like, "You know what? This is going to take so long. This thing needs my attention for just a minute. I'm just going to do this really quick." You get distracted. It takes minutes and minutes and minutes to get back on track. And the reality was, if I just purposed to buckle down and do the thing and get it done, then it was done and I could move forward. And that was such a relief for me to figure that out. So
Yep.
set a timer, time yourself. You'll find that it gets very competitive. You're like, "I got this done in 8 minutes last time. This time I'm going to do it in 5."
Well, right. And Lauren, the reason why, like, if you are going through Pretty Focus right now, you've not graduated, track your time, because you said you want to compare yourself where you were, right? And you can see that you are getting faster, which probably means your skill is improving,
Mhm.
right? And you're getting better in other areas. But two, whenever it comes to pricing later on,
Mhm.
you know exactly how long it's going to take you to do a shoot. So when a client comes back to you and says, "Hey, I need you to do this shoot that involves all of these things," you know about how long it's going to take you to do
Mhm.
that.
Yeah.
And you can better price based on the hours that you know it's going to be. That way you're pricing on something that's objective and not subjective and
Mhm.
the way it's going to feel. And then I always say this too, is that your clients should not be responsible for your inefficiencies.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, well, it's going to take me 8 hours. So I got to charge them for 8 hours work. No, no, no. That's not what I'm saying. But it helps you to become really efficient so you know where you're actually spending your time. Because I'm thinking,
Mhm.
in the episode we talked to, I just recorded yesterday. I don't know when it's going live in conjunction to this episode, but with Ivy and Redonda, and we talk about going full time,
Mhm.
and anybody can work 40 hours. I can spend 40 hours work at my desk working, but
No
that doesn't
problem.
actually going to be moving the needle or doing anything,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, because if you could get it done in 20 hours and have 20 hours of life back,
Mhm.
yes, please sign me up.
Yes, wouldn't that be wonderful? So wonderful. I mean, like, even at my desk this morning, I had a list of things that I wanted to do, and I spent a majority of my time doing things that was not on
Uh-huh.
the list. I mean, they were good things, but it's like, but did I need to do them right then? So,
Yeah.
I think just timing yourself is the first analytic that you should track.
Mhm.
Um, and then, you know, tracking the number of recipes you've done. If you are a graduate and you've started a business, tracking your sell through rate, tracking
Mhm.
your, um, emails and click rates. I mean, we can get into the weeds on all of those analytics, but I think the most probably important analytic to track is the time that you're spending, because it really lays the foundation for so many other things.
Mhm.
And I do that whenever I have one-off projects. People will ask me to do, is that's what I do. I know a lot of people will say otherwise, and have different opinions, but for me, I really feel comfortable charging an hourly rate for certain projects. And so I will charge that hourly rate, knowing what all the work that's going to go into it, knowing how they're going to use those photos, my drive time, travel time, and it helps me make a more objective
Mhm.
decision on what I'm going to price for that project versus, feeling. Right.
Because you might find that you can earn top dollar and get it done in a decent amount of time. You've taken great care of the person who has hired or connected with you. And then who is at the top of their list the next time that they need something?
Mhm.
Your name. Your
Yeah.
name is going to be at the very top, and you're going to be getting a phone call or an email because they've got their next project coming up and they remembered how it felt to work with you
Mhm.
because you weren't stressed, you weren't rushed, you weren't last minute, you were prepared and you knew how much time it was going to take you. You set aside that time and you got the job done.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. I think that time is very, very important. And the next thing I want to talk about, and I've talked about this before, and it's going to be, you guys, this is it. Like, this is the future. I think where all businesses are going.
Mhm.
Um, and that is transparency is the new currency.
Yeah.
You probably have heard me say it before, but really since 2020,
Mhm.
um, transparency is vital. And now enter AI and onto
Mhm.
the scene. And so there's some opportunities I think that we have as business owners, no matter what kind of business you have, what your business model is. There are things that you can be doing to bring in some more transparency, things that, we are doing internally as well. And so one is adding reviews to, if you are selling recipes from a website, how can you add reviews into that
Mhm.
website? so your clients can go and give you a raving review. Because that is another element, not just your work and how you serve people, but those reviews are going to be able to help you stand apart from other people, right?
Oh, yeah.
Including real mistakes and real results in your recipe testing. Whether this is an opportunity, whether you're doing recreations or exclusives, this is all across the board, including real mistakes and real results. Lauren, do you remember when we were just so paranoid to tell bloggers that a recipe didn't work, or we didn't, what do I do? The recipe didn't work, or what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? I think people are still like that, and we just would just be so paranoid because we didn't want to look incompetent. That's the thing.
Right. It feels like failure.
Right.
But the reality is that if we have run into an issue, we can quickly self-evaluate, like user error. Have we done something that it was our fault and we just need to start from scratch and make it right? Can we problem solve that? Or is this a piece of information that we can take just a few moments to gather our thoughts on, send them off to the client, because that will only help them serve their readers better.
Right.
It might be something that their readers need to know to clarify something. It might be something that they didn't think about to include because they just know it. It seems like common sense to them. But we are often kind of like the first end user of some of these recipes. And so this is a great opportunity to kind of flesh out all of the issues that the people that are investing ingredients, bringing it home to their family, trying to recreate this version for themselves in their own home, we can tidy up anything that could cause a problem for them. If we run into that issue, there's a chance that they might, having just a little bit of communication back and forth between us and our client could clear that up before it even becomes a problem. And then they only come out looking like more of an expert, more of a great support, building that trust that everyone is looking for. And then where do those readers go back to when they want to find the recipe that works? They're going to go back to that trusted blogger, who then in turn can hire more photography out because they know that the photographers are working hard behind the scenes, not just to make sure that the food looks pretty, but that the food works. Because as an end user of recipes, I don't want to go buy the ingredients. That's an investment right now in ingredients, to come home and have something fail and then to look at the recipe and think, I know what would have fixed this. They should have said whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
for sure. And two, not just in that's whenever like a recipe might not work, right? Or whatever. But if the recipe is the best thing that you've ever had, or there were maybe some slight tweaks, or you're like, if you have like a suggestion of like, oh my gosh, this would be so good with brown gravy on it. Like adding that. I don't know what would be good with brown gravy on it.
Everything.
I didn't already have brown gravy on it. But, making those suggestions, I got to brag on, Melissa Wilbur, is that on her episode, she shared how there was a brown gravy and she said, you know what, or I can't remember what the recipe was. I think it was just the gravy. And she goes, you know what, this would be so great on like a homemade KFC bowl, right?
Yes.
So she made that for her client.
Above and beyond.
Above and beyond.
Yeah.
And was like, this is going to be so good. And, I think that is like a way that you can serve them, is, not just be like, hey, these tweaks, or, this is how it turned out. But praising and just saying this was literally the best thing ever.
Yeah. Well, that's celebrating their win.
Right.
It's giving them a reminder that they're on the right track.
Yeah.
And they're a small business owner. In all likelihood, the people that we're working with are also small business owners, just like we are. And it's so encouraging and reassuring that you're on the right track to hear from someone that you're doing a good job.
Yeah.
So take the opportunity when something is great and you really enjoyed it to let them know.
Yeah. Yeah. The goal here is, again, to help you position your client as an expert, and help them be more transparent with their readers. That's the goal here, is like, how can you do that in your own business? But then also, how can you set your clients up to be that for their own readers? And so by providing information on the recipe, whether it's exclusive, whether it's a recreation, just sharing more human interaction on that recipe that they can put into their blog posts. And then the other thing too is like video and reels. And I know people are like, well, aren't we moving away from hands and pans? Well, not necessarily. I think video is going to continue to do really well with TikTok, with YouTube Shorts, with Instagram Reels. Like, you can't tell me video is not going. You know what I mean? Like, we're doing it. We're here. You know.
Yep.
But those human elements, and so what I'm seeing now is like bloggers are using like hands and pans, but they're using the ASMR.
Mm-hmm.
And then, or they're doing voiceovers. So being able to create a reel where your client can do a voiceover, that would work really well for that. You know, even if you scripted it out for them, and then they could just do a voiceover, right? That could be really beneficial to your readers or to your clients. That helps, again, set them up to be transparent with their readers. But all that to say, transparency is the new currency. So I'd be looking for ways, you know, and a lot of bloggers I'm seeing, you know, whenever it comes back to reviews, I will choose a recipe based off of a review, right? So I will also see a blogger put a review in the post too. So if you are a food blogger listening, maybe add in those reviews. And you guys, as you're collecting reviews for your own website and testimonials, I just really want to encourage you to do that for other people. You are helping out small, like we're all running small businesses. We're not big corporations. We're all small businesses. And you are going to help them out so much. Your review, your positive review, means so much to them. If you try a recipe from a blogger that you loved, whether you work for them or not, go leave a review. If you go leave a comment on the reel, go comment on your clients' reels, like engage with them, help position them in the best way possible. You know, even if it's like not related to the food blogging industry and you found a product that you just love, like go tell them that. And so I think that as we are wanting to do that and we want people to do that for us, go do that for other people. Like, let's normalize that. I think we need to normalize that. Like, try a product, go leave a review. Love that. So make sure you are doing that for other people.
It's also contagious.
Yes. Absolutely. Well, you guys, first episode of the year. Cannot wait for what is ahead in 2026. We have a lot of really great episodes lined up. And to that, if you loved this episode, go leave a review. Go rate it. We want to hear from you because that's how we know we're on the right track. And so, yeah. But we hope you guys have a fantastic year wherever you are at in this episode. You're listening to this episode. We hope that you guys have a fantastic year ahead. We're thinking about you. We're cheering for you. We're praying for you. We'll talk to you later.